In this video, we want to take you on a journey through a side of Russia that the media doesn't show you and perhaps you didn't know existed. This is the different face to the country that we've been showing you over the past few weeks. And on that note, let's start in the area where we're staying. So this is the area that we're staying in, which is near to the metro station Zil in the southeast of Moscow. And this is a completely new area. It's an area that I think used to have a lot of factories in, and it's been completely demolished and regenerated and rebuilt into this kind of modern urban zone. And actually on the other side of the metro station where we're heading now, they're still building it, and you can see where all these factories have been flattened. It's really fascinating, actually. It's almost like a completely new neighborhood that's been built in this part of Moscow. There's shops here and cafes, Pilates studios over there, dentists. And it's really interesting. When we first got here yesterday, we were driving through the part of the city that I guess you kind of stereotypically think of when you think of Moscow, and we arrived here and it's almost like a completely different city. You know, this is very similar to Gdansk, where we were not long ago, and Scandinavia from last summer. Yeah, really fascinating.
You know, seeing all this makes you realize why they have to specify that this is the biggest project anywhere outside of Moscow.
You mean the one in Kemerovo?
Well, yeah. There's so much going on.
Look, as we've shown you in other videos, there is a lot of building work going on in Russia at the moment, and there seems to be, I was reading, a real building boom here at present because a lot of the economy after sanctions has turned inwards, so there's a lot of inward investment within the country. But it definitely seems that the saying Moscow is not Russia is so true. There is just like, it's a different scale. As soon as you get here, everything's different. So we're on our way to the metro station to dart across town, and when we get there we'll show you this area from above, because although it's a metro station, it's above ground, and you can see the other side where they've demolished all of these old Soviet factories and that. Really interesting. But to get to the metro we do need to walk all the way around because of the building work. We have to do a massive loop just to get to there.
Extra steps in.
This is true. Yeah. So we're almost at the metro, and from up here you can see this whole area that's being redeveloped. Right in front of us they're redoing the road, and just in the distance over there you can see all of the old Soviet factories that are in the process of being demolished, and even behind them, like where it's already been regenerated. It's really fascinating to see this mix of the old making way for the new. And one thing I wanted to say about this building boom that's currently going on in Russia, and specifically Moscow, is that apparently a lot of it has been aided by the fact that building materials and especially mortgages were subsidized over the past couple of years, and mortgage rates were reduced to around 6%, I think, which for Russia is very low, which led to a massive increase in demand and also a massive reduction in the cost of the supply. So yeah, this boom has just taken over Russia, and it's really fascinating to see how much this country has changed in 2 or 3 years. But those subsidies have now stopped, and mortgage rates have actually bounced back to around 25%. So I guess it's interesting to see what happens, if the demand side is going to change in any way or not, if the projects are going to keep going and the process is only going to speed up. I guess watch this space. Thank you, boss.
Let's head to an area of Moscow where we actually haven't been before. I think we have 5 stops? 5. Correct. Thank you.
Don't know if you've ever seen one of these. This is a delivery robot. It is sweet, right? But it's a scary future. That's the new delivery person here in Moscow. These little robots. I've seen lots of videos online of like when they get stuck in the snow. So there's no snow at the moment, but like people helping out these little robots when they get stranded in the snow. It's quite funny. But yeah, you see these all over central Moscow now. These new delivery robots, I think from Yandex or something, on like the local Uber Eats, Yandex.
Yes, it's Yandex Lavka.
Yandex Lavka. Понятно. Well, welcome to the, I guess, Canary Wharf of Moscow, the business center. This is called Moskva City or Moscow City, and this is the, I guess, economic heart of the country. This is the economic heart of New Russia, I suppose. On that note, I wanted to say, we often get comments from some people saying about this communist country and stuff when we showed Russia, and Russia, we've mentioned before, couldn't really be further from its communist past 30 years ago these days. New Russia is probably more capitalist than many European countries, and I think this is like a prime example of it. This is the new Russia, the Russia of extreme wealth that has flooded here into the very middle of Moscow.
So the concept for this project was developed in 1991 and the building work started in 1996.
Fascinating, right? That as Russia was going through kind of turmoil when it came out of the USSR period, 1991 to 1996, when there was mass change in the country, there was still this project, and
people like that always fascinate me, that, you know, they see how things can look, they can have this vision of how the place can look and be. It's amazing talent.
What's interesting about Moscow City, and also I mentioned Canary Wharf, it's a prime example of what happens in a lot of European cities, is that there's like a business district with high-rises. So I know that in like the US, for example, there is clusters of skyscrapers, but a city like New York, they're everywhere, right? But here in Moscow, you have Moscow City. In London, you have Canary Wharf, and also the City of London now. In Paris, you have an area, I know, where there's a cluster of skyscrapers. In Frankfurt, in Berlin. And I think it's really interesting how North American cities compare to European cities. Obviously, the centres of these cities are a lot more historical, so there's a lot more low-rise buildings and different types of architecture. And then these skyscraper sections, these kind of business districts, are generally outside of the very centre of the city itself. So we've come across to the other side of the Moskva River because we're heading into the centre, and we're going to take one of the most interesting forms of public transport here in Russia. This is the world's first electric ferry service, and it runs all the way along the Moskva River. So let's go and have a look. Все, спасибо большое. Так. Спасибо большое. Здравствуйте.
Спасибо. The buildings in Moscow City are impressive and I guess interesting, but when you see those old buildings, they just hit different. So gorgeous. Completely different vibe, completely different feel to them.
Well, it may not be the fastest form of transport, but it's certainly a great way to see the city, and especially for 100 rubles. Apparently these run year round, so even when there's ice up to 20 centimeters thick on the Moskva, they still run. It just literally breaks through the ice. Fascinating. Obviously there should be ice right now. We're in early February, but it's so warm. It's like, I think -0 or -1, yeah? Insane. No, there was a little bit of snow last night, but it's already gone. Such a warm winter here in Moscow.
Let's head into the suburbs and meet our friend who lives there. It's gonna be quite a long journey, so see you there.
Привет, что добрались до моего этого?
Добрый привет.
Камеру убери.
А сколько здесь квартир в твоем доме?
Так. У нас 3 этажа по 5 квартир, 15. Здесь, если
Ага. Понятно.
там мы жарили тогда рыбу. Вашими
С моими родственниками. Да.
Заходите. Пожалуйста, заходите в мои апарты.
Спасибо.
Спросим. Пока потом.
Ой.
У тебя очень уютная квартира.
Спасибо.
Так что это тебя самые ближние остановки метро, да? Вот ты,
Когда ты в Москву переехала, Юль? В каком году?
В 19-м.
В 19-м?
На фуре.
В смысле?
Ну, в прямом смысле с папой на фуре.
А с папой? Я думаю, на фуре. Ну, может, автостопом поехала.
Папа мне предложил тогда, я собиралась типа поехать, папа такой говорит, я, говорит, поеду как раз в Москву, ты поехали со мной? Он типа такой закинул меня, я что-то подумала, а чё нет?
А ты до Москвы, получается, в Новосибирске жила?
Да,
В Новосибирске.
в Новосибирске, в Кемерово, а потом в Новосибирске.
А сколько ты в Новосибирске жила?
С 13-го года по 19-й, ну почти 6 лет
Почти 6 лет.
получается.
Интересно, что вот с Кемерово, ну, который считается типа средний город, да, 600 тысяч, до Новосиба, вот третий город России, а сейчас в Москве. Типа, вот каждый город, вот каждый, да, типа больше и больше стало.
Больше.
Да.
А мне нравятся эти вот города, ну то есть я, ну как, понятное дело, если какой-нибудь это красивый маленький город, там, не знаю, уютненький, там, итальянский, там, атмосферный, да, это одно дело. А так мне нравятся вот такие, типа,
Вот ты сказала, отличается жизнь в нашем регионе
от
и
Москвы.
от Москвы.
Ну, наверное, если вообще Кемерово брать прям изначально, да, там все как-то рядом совсем. То есть, ну, допустим, элементарно, помните наши шашлычки, там какой-то выехал за город, то есть у тебя вот он, ты выехал туда вот. Быстро там, не знаю, можно за 20 минут уже будет за городом, там помидорки свои поливать. Вот, здесь как-то все равно не так. То есть здесь этого нет в такой степени. То есть все скопление, наверное, там больше, ну, развитость, естественно, всего. Если ты захочешь что-то, то есть, не знаю, там, театры, кино, вот это все, ты вообще, то есть у тебя вот такой список, пожалуйста, пошел, все это смотреть.
Много чего происходит постоянно.
Много чего происходит, можно ездить просто гулять вообще, наслаждаться, ну, спокойно, тебе, мне это нравится. Вот.
Ты думаешь, ты бы осталась в Москве жить?
Когда? Вообще сейчас?
Ну, вообще, да. План у тебя здесь оставаться?
В идеале бы, да. В идеале бы, конечно, да.
У тебя нет планов, что возвращаться назад в Новосиб или в Кем?
Нет. В Кем точно нет, абсолютно. Прям вот сейчас, ну, я, конечно, как говорится,
не зарекайся, да.
Ну, это вряд ли. А так, не, я бы тут, конечно, бы жила, мне нравится. Конечно, не дрянно.
Good morning from Moscow. Behind me is Leningradsky Vokzal, or Leningrad Station, obviously named after the city of what is now Saint Petersburg and what before was Leningrad. We're about to start a journey from this station, and guess where we're going? Of course, Saint Petersburg, on a high-speed train. Did you know that here in Russia they have high-speed trains? Well, this one's called the Sapsan, and it goes 700 kilometers from here in Moscow, from Leningradsky Vokzal to Moskovsky Vokzal in St. Petersburg. It usually takes around 3.5 to 4 hours, and we're about to take that train. Actually, we wanted to say about these stations here in Moscow. As I said, this one's called Leningradsky Vokzal, so it's named after Leningrad, which is where the train goes to. In front of me is another station called Kazansky Vokzal, which goes east from here to the city of Kazan. Over there, there's one called Rizhki, which used to go to the city of Riga, what is now Latvia. And then over there is Yaroslavsky Vokzal, which goes to the city of Yaroslav. It's interesting that they all kind of converge in one place, but they're all different lines that go to different parts of Russia. When you look at a map, a rail map of this country, you see that Moscow, in every aspect, is the heart of this country. Trains come in and out of here like a spider's web, as do the road system as well. But yeah, we're heading north from Leningradsky Vokzal up to St. Petersburg. I would say let's go inside now because the train leaves in 20 minutes, but we can't, it's under refurbishment. So let's walk around it and head to our train.
We're actually heading to St. Petersburg to meet someone that, if you've been watching our channel for a while, you may recognize.
48-й вагон, 48-е кресло.
Спасибо большое. Сюда направо.
Your boots right there.
Nice. To be honest, this isn't the first time we've come on this train. About 5 or 6 years ago, before YouTube, we came to Russia with one of Julia's friends from England who really wanted to come to Russia, and we went from St. Petersburg to Moscow. So first time going this way, but not the first time on the Sapsun.
Let's hang out coats.
Go for it. Interesting to see how the speeds compare after riding on all them Chinese trains. I feel like it's going to be a little bit different, but
Imagine
still.
there was a speed train to Vladivostok.
Yeah, that's what we were saying, right? It would be really interesting. Like, imagine that, yeah, if there was a high-speed train from here all the way through to like Novosibirsk and then on to Vladivostok. At the moment, I think it takes 8 days to get to Vladivostok. I guess if it was going at, I don't know, at 200 kilometers an hour, I have no idea, but maybe 3 or 4. Still, it's a long time, right? It's a massive distance. But
Still fly, yeah.
I think there's trains in China now that go 400 kilometers an hour. So, I mean, yeah, that would fly to Vladivostok.
Она сейчас не станичная.
Персональном мобильном устройстве, а также ознакомиться с электронными версиями периодики.
So a bit like the trains in China, you can actually order stuff to your seat through the mobile app here. So we ordered a couple of drinks, and yeah, they deliver it from the old bistro car, which is 4 or 5 ahead, and bring it down. Спасибо. Спасибо, до свидания. Welcome to St. Petersburg.
Привет! Я Юля! Приятно знакомиться! Красивый очень город. Каждый раз приезжаешь в Питер. А уже убрали?
Ну да.
В Москве до сих пор декорации новогодние. Вот так.
Все, походите.
We decided to head to St. Petersburg purely to visit my brother and see his new life in the cultural capital of Russia. He moved here around 6 months ago with his girlfriend Tanya, and it was amazing to spend some time with them in their new home city and enjoy Russia's imperial capital together.